everybody. This is Matthew.
And this is Nick from Plastic Tombstone.
And this is our podcast, I Heard Something About That.
And this week, we heard something about Spider-Man, so we went and saw it.
We heard a lot of something about Spider-Man.
We did, and that's going to be our main discussion of the week, but we're going to give you a spoiler-free impressions of it, talk about a couple news things that are coming up, and then do a full digging deeper segment on all spoilerific Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, so our first initial impressions will not be spoiler-filled.
If you haven't seen it.
Yeah, we'll let you know when we get into the spoiler discussions, which will be at the end of the podcast.
So let's do our impressions. What'd you think?
It was good. It was really good.
So good.
Yeah.
Arguably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was my favorite Spider-Man
It was your
movie.
favorite Spider-Man?
I mean, I probably need to go back and watch Spider-Man 2. Because
Spider-Man 2 is a high benchmark.
It is, and I probably need to go back and watch it now and see if it still holds up compared to this Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I kept thinking about during the movie was like,
Spider-Man 2 was the best until this.
yeah, and well, tonally, they're very different movies, too.
Very, very different.
Spider-Man 2 was very emotional and heavy, where Spider-Man Homecoming is very lighthearted and fun.
Yeah. And it gets to the heavy moments on occasion, but
it doesn't bog you down.
Yeah, it doesn't hammer you in the head with it all the time.
There's no Spider-Man weeping half the movie.
Yeah, it's true. It's just very lighthearted and fun. Very funny.
Yeah.
Exactly what Spider-Man and Peter Parker are supposed to be.
Oh my God, there was some moments in that it just had me cracking up.
I couldn't. We'll definitely talk about those moments when we start spoiling stuff, but
yeah. It was an amazing movie, and it really, I was very afraid that Sony kind of dropped the ball with making the trailers, which we talked about.
We did. We've bitched about that a lot, that we thought
they kind of
we saw the whole movie,
which they kind of did. They kind
of gave away big elements of it.
Yeah, but they didn't give away the entire story, which is
so. I was surprised at how much was in that movie.
Yeah, it was long. It was really long.
It was 2.5 hours. Yeah,
and it did seem long. Like, it didn't seem like it went by really fast, but it was a long, enjoyable time.
Yeah, it wasn't like you were just like, it wasn't the end of Lord of the Rings, where you were just like, how many endings is this thing going to have? I just want to be done with it. But it was more like you just kept wanting to see more and more. And every time something would slow down, there'd be like a new element. And it was just, the pacing was really well done. And like we said, there's so much they don't show you in the trailers.
It's going to be, I hope that Sony doesn't pull their stupid games and try to pull Spider-Man back into their...
I mean, clearly, this was...
Yeah, I mean, this is probably going to be what Sony's biggest opening ever.
It's the highest debut of a solo Marvel character, superhero movie, period.
That should really make Sony think about what they're going to do with Venom then, because
yeah.
I'm already uninterested in the Venom movie because I already know it's not going to be part of the Spider-Man universe. So they really need to think about that.
Yeah, definitely. And they definitely need to look at what their numbers did and how people are reacting to it, because it's not just the numbers, it's getting critically praised as well.
Yeah.
It's not Transformers where it makes a bunch of money, but everybody's like, it's a piece of shit.
What's amazing about it too is it's so different from all the other Marvel movies because it is based in like a high school and stuff.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten that yet.
It's much more personal story, and everything felt a lot more, for lack of a better word, grounded.
And it's relatable. It's very relatable. We've all been to high school, or we are in high school.
Yeah.
It's something you can always relate to.
So basically, in a nutshell, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely go see it, especially if you're a fan of Spider-Man, especially if you're a fan of just well-acted, well-paced, well-written movies.
And fun movies. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
As with all the Marvel movies have been that way.
Yeah, definitely.
They always make them fun, and I think that's something
hard to
achieve.
Missing. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to achieve, I think, to make a movie that much fun.
Yep. We're just coughing up a storm here.
I'm burping.
But anyway, you want to talk about a couple other things, and then we'll dig deeper into Spider-Man? We don't really have a whole lot this week,
Well,
right?
I really wanted to kind of touch on, as the movie was starting, and you're seeing the opening Marvel logo, it starts off with the comics, and it shows the movie characters, and it shows the Marvel Studios logo. Isn't it insane, that we're sitting in a cinematic universe, watching, this has all happened? I mean, I know a lot of studios are trying to do this and make cinematic universes, but comic books we grew up with are intertwining on the screen. And to me, as Spider-Man was starting, it really hit me that it was just how amazing that is at this point.
Yeah. That Spider-Man actually crossed over, and there's not all this.
Well, not even just Spider-Man, just the fact that we have movies that intertwine that are based on comic book characters.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when I was growing up, and I'm sure you were too, that comic books weren't cool. Liking comic books were not the cool thing.
Liking comic books and collecting toys was not a thing you got praised for or friends for.
Yeah.
Unless it was friends who actually did that.
So it's kind of amazing to sit there and think about that the cinematic universe is happening and it's mainstream and all this stuff is everywhere. And
does that make you a little sad sometimes?
The only thing that kind of, I guess, because
it kind of pisses me off because, like you said, it wasn't a popular thing, but now if you like it, oh, that's cool, man. Let's go see Star Wars. But if you like Star Wars when we were in high school, it's just like, what, you like Star Wars? Get a life. Go play some football or something.
Nerd.
You know? Yeah, it's just, it kind of bugs me, but people who would have made fun of shit like that in high school are now loving it.
Yeah.
And saying that they loved it the whole time, which is another bullshit thing.
I think that's the biggest thing is like, oh, I've always liked comic books. And it's like, no.
Did you?
It's okay to say, I love the movies. They really got me opened up into comic books and stuff. I didn't realize they were this deep or whatever. But just to be a bandwagoner, it's not very...
I mean...
I think the thing that really made me think about this even further was there was a Facebook ad for superhero bar crawl.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
And, like, the photos and the videos, like, a bunch of douchebags getting drunk, dressed like superheroes. And I was just like...
That wouldn't have been cool 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, when did like, the thing that, like, us nerds, like, would hang out and read comics and discuss who would win in which fight and stuff, when did that become, like... everybody, all these attractive people and whatever, going to bars and getting drunk.
I'll tell you the most annoying thing I've ever heard somebody say about something that I liked. It was when The Force Awakens came out, and I knew somebody who watched it, and she really liked it. But then she said, I haven't seen the original trilogy, but I know I'll love it when I finally do. And it was just so irritating to think that, those movies have been out for 30 years and you've never sat down to watch them now, but now you're watching it because it's Disney mainstream Star Wars is cool. It was just so annoying to think about that, like, I liked those when I was a kid and it wasn't a cool thing to like, and now here's somebody saying, I'm pretty sure they're awesome. I haven't sat down and watched it, but I really love Star Wars a lot. I'm like, no, you don't.
I'm such a big fan. It's like, no.
Yeah, no, you're not. Because there's all kinds of that now. It's just,
it's kind of sad, but it's also like it has to be that way for it to be as successful as it is.
Exactly. We wouldn't have had a Spider-Man Homecoming if it wasn't a successful franchise,
Yes, and any of it, if Iron Man had not picked up and Captain America had not been successful, we would not be where we're at now. We probably, I don't know what we'd be doing.
So you have to take the good with the bad, really, but. I'm with you. It's kind of a bummer sometimes to think that we used to get picked on for that stuff or talked down to or looked at weird, and now everybody's just like, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever. Of course it is. People are just discovering things we already knew all along.
That's right.
It's true. So
we're the OGs.
We're just ahead of the curve, that's all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree with you.
Speaking of all that, Comic-Con is coming up in a couple weeks.
Now, let me ask you something about Comic-Con. When did that thing explode?
I guess when comic book movies kind of became popular.
Is that when it just took off and is now like impossible to get into? Was it always kind of difficult to get into?
I mean, I think it was always pretty big, but I think when everything came into the mainstream
and like big movie stars were going to these press conferences and stuff.
Yeah, and pop culture has kind of become bigger than it ever was.
Yeah.
Do you think they should change the name of it though? Do you think they should? Do you think
they talk about that all the time, but it's branding at this point.
Yeah, but it's like nobody goes there for comic books.
No, I mean there's hardly any comic book vendors there. Period.
Well, let me tell you, I don't know if you are familiar with Mile High Comics.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Well, they used to be in all our comic books back in the day. They always had advertisements selling comic books.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a staple of comic book stores. They have been at Comic-Con, I guess, since the beginning, back in like the 70s or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they posted a thing saying that this year that they're not going to do it because they pay $18,000 for their little corner booth.
And nobody comes and sees them.
Well, they said it wasn't that. It was just that the last year, like, the people who run Comic-Con just didn't seem to care about the comic book vendors. Like, I guess some of their shipments and stuff were late and they just didn't care about them. And it's just like the people who kind of made who were always been there are kind of just being pushed to the side.
Well, that's a weird thing about Comic-Con because Comic-Con existed before the internet, and that's where you congregated as nerds to meet fellow nerds. That's what you did, and that's how you met people.
Yeah.
So, and now it's just a cultural phenomenon thing where
now it's like, here, let's go see what's going to be announced. Here's this announcement. Here's
that's
this
pretty
announcement.
much it's pretty much a trailer spitter outer
and exclusive toys.
Yeah, but that's what it was, and now it's weird just to see that that's what it turned into.
Yeah, so that's something I was just thinking about after I read Mile High Comics thing, and honestly, I don't go to comic cons for comics. I mean.
No, you just go for the collectibles and to look around,
just see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go one year. It's just so far away.
Yeah,
a plane ride from Tennessee to San Diego is a long plane ride.
Yeah, and then you got to buy them like immediately because they sell out so fast.
Yeah, like I said, it would be cool to go, but I don't know.
It'd probably be insane.
Yeah, it'd probably be overwhelming.
Almost. I mean, I went to the Lexington, Kentucky Comic-Con, and it was so packed, it made me anxious.
Yeah, the anxiety of just like people, just a sea of people.
Yeah, and it's like
just trying to see things.
I'm just trying to look at stuff, and there's just like so many people.
How many people were video blogging their trip? 90%.
I don't know. That was a couple years ago, so I don't know if that was really a big thing.
Like people just because now you look at these conventions and you look at these halls. And 50% of the people have their phones out and they're recording everything. And I'm just like, who are you showing that to? Everybody can see what happens at Comic-Con on the internet. That's a great proliferation of the internet. If we were just hearing about Comic-Con, you and me would be like, we got to save up and just go because we wouldn't see all this cool stuff and hear all this cool stuff. But it's online like the next day.
Well, that's why I don't like really get my phone out and take a lot of pictures and video and stuff. Like even the other night I was filming a concert and I'm there to film it. Yeah. But I still enjoyed it. Like I still like watching the concerts, but I know I'm there to film it. But everybody around me is getting their cell phones out, taking pictures, and then they're sitting there scrolling through their pictures. And I'm like, you're missing the show.
Yeah.
Did you come here to take some pictures and then look through them on your phone?
Yeah, live in the moment. Look at your pictures later. Take a few pictures and then just...
Yeah, and put it away and enjoy the show.
Yeah, nobody lives in the moment anymore. Everybody wants to record the moment and share the moment later.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
It's weird. I don't know why. I don't do that.
Yeah.
It's part of Plastic Tombstone's problem, really. The reason I guess we're not more well known is because we don't talk about ourselves. Like, me and Matt grew up a generation before Twitter, so it's to talk about our daily lives on Twitter and on Facebook and be like, oh, like we saw Homecoming and it was awesome, and but neither one of us talked about it to anybody online. Yeah. Like we just like, oh, it was cool, right? Yeah, pretty neat. But so many people are just like, oh, I just had a really good taco at Taco Bell. Let me tell everybody about it. And if we were more like that, we would, maybe more people would know who we are. We just
need a social media guru.
It's true.
Who will do all that for us because apparently
we just live in the moment for now,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You should do.
That's what I said. Like it was so weird to see people who were there, like for the they came to the concert and they're just looking at their phones, like looking at the pictures they just took. They just literally took.
Yeah. And you could look up and the guy's still there.
Yeah, and
but you're just like, I want to see if I got a good picture of him.
It's like when we go to Prog Power, I bring my camera, I take like 1 or 2 pictures per band,
and then just watch
the rest.
It was almost like when Obama was inaugurated, and he had like a record crowd at his inauguration, and it's just like you look out and it's just so many people are just like recording it. I'm like, why are you recording it? You guys realize that like there's high def cameras around here recording.
It's going to be on TV.
It's going to be on TV. You can watch it. Why do you care about your point of view? Because guess what? Your point of view from your shitty camera 100 yards away is not going to be as good as those.
It's the same thing with weddings though, man. I mean, obviously I work weddings a lot, filming weddings, and there's like all these people who are always in the wedding, who go to the weddings, who bring their little cameras and cell phones, and are always just taking pictures and getting in the photographer's way and stuff. Like they hired photographers and videographers. People are going. The stuff's going to get caught. Enjoy the wedding. Enjoy your family or friend's wedding.
Yeah.
Put your phone away. Put all that stuff away. Just enjoy it. I went to a wedding this weekend. One of my friends. I wasn't actually working, and it was nice just to sit there and watch it.
Just to watch it for once.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm not going to pull my phone out. I pulled my phone out once to get one picture of them.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Because they'll send you one, and they have professional photographers doing that.
Right.
Stuff.
So I don't know. It's just a weird thing.
So what's the lesson here? We got pretty deep there.
Yeah.
The lesson
what is the lesson?
Live your life, not through your phone.
Yeah. Just pay attention more to things in front of you and not your phone. I don't know. Is that a good lesson?
Well, I feel like I know we're beating a dead horse here, but I feel like it's more people want to prove that they had the experience instead of just having the experience for themselves.
Right. Well, it's like you can still do that. Take your one photo of the band and post it and say, I was at this concert.
Yeah.
And then enjoy the rest of the concert.
It's kind of like pictures with celebrities. It's like you almost want to prove you met Bruce Campbell by having a picture of him instead of just being like, I met Bruce Campbell and it was awesome. You just like, you felt that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who kind of abuse that kind of thing. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Remember that guy who used to drum for Metallica?
Oh, God, yeah. Just makes up stuff. I think that guy had, what was it, 8 applesauce with Slipknot or something like that. It was some
World
weird
of Warcraft or something.
World of Warcraft, that was it. He played World of Warcraft with Slipknot. So we used to be in a band, and we used when we were looking for a drummer at one point, we had this guy come over, and I cannot remember what his name was.
I can't either, but he drove like this hoopty car, and this is like in rural Tennessee.
And he would just make stuff up off the top of his head.
He told us he drummed for Metallica, and he was like, younger than we are.
Yeah, and he was like, hey, I filled in for Metallica once. And we were like, oh, that's cool. You're a liar. Like, how is this possible? We were like 25 at the time, which made him 20, which means he was drumming for Metallica when he was like 7 years old.
And that's the fact that, once again, he was from rural Tennessee, wanting to play in our band. We're not even an established band. Most of us aren't even established musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
And then this guy's just railing us with, I played in all these bands, and we're like, yeah, okay.
The problem is some people believe that stuff.
Yeah, and then like they feed off those people.
Yeah, they get like, well, no, like the people who say it believe what they're saying is true. They have like a sort of a weird.
He's probably said it so many times it's kind of like
just in his head. He's
drumming for Metallica in his head.
What else we got? I mean, the only other thing I got is that Castlevania series came out.
Yeah, I want to watch that. It's 4 episodes, right?
It's 4 episodes. It's not long. It takes like as long as to watch as a movie, and they're only about 25 minutes.
Is it good?
I liked it.
Is it action packed?
Fairly action packed. It's actually got good characters in it. It's got a good story element. It's basically Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, essentially. Okay. And
well, I know. Like I said originally, my fear was that it was going to be very dialogue heavy. Was it?
Not really.
Okay.
Like there's a really good fight sequence at the end, and there's even a kind of an homage sequence in the last episode of what Castlevania is basically a platforming video game, and they're just jumping from platform to platform because this like place is crumbling around them and stuff. So it's kind of a cool and. But no, it's got a lot of dialogue in it, but it reminded me almost like an animated Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Sort of like it was really bloody, it was really gory, and like demons like ripping people in half and stuff like that. And
I'm always down for bloody and gory. So
yeah, and it's got a Game of Thrones vibe. And actually, there's a sequence in the second episode where he goes up to a sword vendor, and you can see Jon Snow's sword in the background. They like animated it into the scene.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's
you should
awesome.
Look for that when you see that guy. You see Long Claw in the back. It's pretty funny. But no, it's good. It goes by quick. That's how you can tell you have a good show. Like when we watch Stranger Things and stuff, it went like so fast. You're like, that episode's over with.
Speaking of Stranger Things, did you see the new teaser?
I didn't see the teaser, but I saw that poster.
Yeah, well, the poster is basically the teaser. It's just them riding their bikes, and then like the sky's like turning all crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, pretty excited
October 21st?
Yeah, so I think so.
Well, actually, they were going to release it on Halloween, but they said they're going to release it before Halloween because they think that it's going to inspire some new Halloween costumes. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, so
that'll be coming around Halloween. Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3 will be on Halloween.
It's going to be
a good October.
Going to be a good October. Speaking of Game of Thrones, tune in next week when me and Matt dig into the Season 7 premiere.
Oh, yeah.
Because that starts on Sunday. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm super excited about Game of Thrones coming back.
Yeah.
And then we got to wait another, 2 years for the last season. But
hey, as long as it's good, I don't give a crap, man. That's it. I'm so tired of everything being rushed.
Yeah, stop rushing things.
I guess I kind of I've talked about this before. Yearly games.
Yeah, you don't need them.
You don't need them. They're and like a lot of them like have terrible pre-order bonuses that just feel like they're like trying to goad you into buying the game. Like when it's basically the same game that you already got.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm talking about the WWE games because they're already advertising this year's wrestling game, and they're like, order the deluxe edition and play 4 days early. Like, that's the what?
You get to play 4 days early. That's a sweet deal.
Ooh. And you can be Kurt Angle if you.
It is coming to the Switch though. That's the first time.
Oh yeah,
that's the first time Nintendo's getting a wrestling game.
Seth Rollins was backstage playing a Switch, and then somebody's like watching. I guess the cameraman's like, "Oh hey,
oh hey, I was just playing WWE 2K18 on my Nintendo Switch.
I love Nintendo, and WWE is finally coming to Nintendo." And then like he walks away and he comes back and says, "Oh, I forgot my Switch."
Said Switch like 9 times.
Yeah, just like, oh my god.
Oh, that's great.
I feel like I'm being brainwashed all the time anytime I watch any advertisements.
I got one more thing to tell you because I want you to check something out for me, and we'll talk about him next week.
Okay.
They're, you know who Neil Blomkamp is? Guy directed District 9?
Yeah.
Well, he did a couple other movies, Elysium and Chappie, and I thought they were really good.
I haven't seen Chappie, but I did really enjoy Elysium.
Elysium was really good. Chappie is a little more... it's really good. I really liked it, but it's a little like less actiony and more like character story.
Okay.
But it's really good. But anyway, he opened his own studio called Oats Studios, and essentially he's making short films now that are like 30 minutes long, but they're all kind of different. And basically what he did, how he got District 9 is he made Alive in Joburg, which is a short, and a studio saw it and they backed it and gave him like an entire movie. So he's kind of doing that now. I don't know if he's kind of doing that now, but that's kind of what he's doing. So he's making these shorts that aren't like complete shorts, but they feel like really 20-minute long teasers for a movie that's coming up because it builds and builds and builds and then gets to a crescendo and then it kind of just stops. And it always makes you want to know what the next part of the story is. And he's released 2 of them. One's called Raqqa, which is like an alien post-apocalyptic invasion one. It actually has Sigourney Weaver in it. She's one of the main characters in it. And then they have one called Firebase that takes place in Vietnam, but it's about like it's hard to say what it's about without you actually seeing it, but it's
I'll have to check those out. I do like his movies. So.
Yeah, and they're super cool just to look at the effects and where they're going, and I think you'll really enjoy them. He's got a new one coming out called Zygote. It's coming out soon. That has they released like a 5-second kind of teaser trailer thing that showed this fucking cool looking monster thing coming out of the thing. But you should check those out. It's called Oats Studios, and
okay.
And yeah, it's just a studio he made with a bunch of people, and they're doing some really interesting things.
Good. So, we need more of that.
Definitely.
Hey, I got some news for you.
Tell me.
Nocturnal Rights is coming out with a new album.
When? 15 years later?
No, they're active on Facebook. Apparently, they already released a single. So
I'll have to check that out because the last time I went to their Facebook page,
it was like 2008.
They said we're releasing an album in 2008,
and they haven't done anything since then.
There hasn't been an update.
They just randomly started posting on Facebook, and I was like, "What?"
They must have taken a long break. So anyway, there's this power metal band from Sweden or Finland.
I don't know.
One of those.
Overseas.
But it has like the oldest man in the world in it. We call him Mumra, the ever living. He's like 75 years old. And he's still rocking it out.
Damn, he's got an awesome voice.
He's got a really good voice, and we saw him a couple years ago.
Yeah, 2010, I think.
2010, and they were talking about releasing a new album. Like that was like 7 years ago. They were like, "We got a new guitarist, and we have an album coming out next year." And obviously, it's finally coming out. 7 years in the making.
Here we go.
It better be good.
I need you to be excited about that.
I'm going to check that out once we get off of here. So that's the end of our regularly scheduled podcast.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff.
Check us out on all social media where we don't use social media.
We're going to try to. I'm looking for people to help out with that.
We'll try to be a little more active.
Yeah. But
also,
we just like
don't spend all your time looking at Plastic Tombstone on social media. Spend your time at, looking at real life.
look at real life. But me and Matt do this because we like to do it. We don't get paid to do it. It's all in our spare time.
Yeah,
but
it's one of those things like we just like shooting the shit about stuff we like.
Yeah, we like talking about stuff we like collectibles, and we like hanging out. So let's just do that.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to get some more video game stuff in here too.
Yeah.
It's just
we need time.
Time, man. It's all about time. But
we used to have time.
We used to have time. Remember when we were 20?
Remember
24.
We made videos like every weekend.
Every week. I stayed with you for a week, and we made like an entire DVD.
Yeah, that's back when we used to live with our parents.
We didn't have any bills except for good times. But if you're sticking around now, full spoilers for Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah, so
we're about to dig deep into this.
If you don't want to hear any of that, get your vulture wings on and fly out of here.
Oh my God, that's not a spoiler. That was in the trailer.
I know.
All right, so let's do this. Let's. How do you want to start this?
Spoilers start now.
Full spoilers start now.
So,
well, let's talk about how he did as Spider-Man.
Amazing.
Spider-Man
and
Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He was
the perfect combo.
Perfect combo.
Finally, because I always thought Tobey Maguire was an okay Peter Parker, but a not that great Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. And then Andrew Garfield was the other way around.
Andrew Garfield was a terrible Peter Parker and a pretty good Spider-Man. So
yeah,
Tom Holland is both.
Here's the thing. The thing I liked about the original Tobey Maguire. I'll say that Tobey Maguire was a nerd in high school, and that worked out. Andrew Garfield kind of wasn't. He was just kind of a loner.
And he's kind of a pretty boy.
Yeah, and so it didn't really like veg. This Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, is a complete nerd. He's an academic decathlon. He has a super nerdy best friend who wants to build Lego Death Stars with him.
And he looks the part and acts the part.
He looks like a kid, and he looks like he should be in high school, unlike Tobey Maguire, who didn't. No offense to Tobey Maguire. He looked like he should have been, like he got held back a couple times, you know? I don't know if you ever saw 21 Jump Street with Channing Tatum, but they were like, it was kind of a knockoff when Johnny Depp was in 21 Jump Street, and he looked like he should have been out of high school, but nobody said anything. And that's kind of what Tobey Maguire was. It was just like, why is nobody saying anything about this guy? Even Flash Thompson in that one didn't look like a kid.
Yeah.
It's like everybody looked like they were way too grown up to be in high school. But every other supporting character in there, at least in the high school, looked like a high schooler.
Yeah.
Like Ned looked like a high schooler, and Michelle and all the other kids did. So it really made you buy into the high school aesthetic, which is what you wanted, you know, as you want to see teenage Peter Parker. And this was very much a nerdy Peter Parker learning to be Spider-Man, messing up so many times.
Yeah, that's one thing I did like about it. They didn't make him like just super overpowerful and able to just beat her. He was fumbling his way through the whole movie.
Through the entire movie, he was swinging and not getting the landing right, which was a very funny sequence in the beginning of the movie, which is when he's like kind of helping people but not helping people.
Yeah, he's like guy's trying to break into his car, and he slams his head in the car, and he's like, "That's my car, asshole!"
And everybody starts yelling at him, which is where the Stan Lee cameo came in. And he's just like, I'm sorry. And then he's giving old lady directions and stuff like that. It's just like he didn't have it down. When you watch Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, they were instantly Spider-Man and instantly good at it.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way, because it is a learning curve. He's 15 years old. How does he possibly know how to do all this stuff?
And that kind of plays into the whole story arc with Tony Stark, is that Tony was kind of testing to see how he could do on his own.
Do you think he was in that just the right amount, right?
Yeah, he wasn't in it as much as I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he definitely didn't overpower the movie. He was definitely a big influence in the movie, but there's a big reason for that, because they actually revealed this earlier in the week. You remember in Iron Man 2 at the Stark Expo when all the robots went crazy?
Yeah.
And there was a little kid in an Iron Man mask, and he kind of puts his hand up.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man comes down and he blasts away and says, "Good job, kid." He flies away. They're saying that was Peter Parker, which is they just kind of added that into the canon. So since he was a kid, he's looked up to Tony Stark. So that's the point of why he's so like wants his approval so badly, because he's basically a father he didn't have at the time. And he's like, when Iron Man, I think the math was when Iron Man said he was Iron Man, he was like 7 years old. And so he kind of grew up like we did. As a 7-year-old watching like, imagine if you were a 7-year-old, you saw Iron Man, you're watching all these movies, and all of a sudden you get to be in them. It's like, that's why Tony Stark was such a big influence in his life. And
okay.
So it's cool that they did that. It's
yeah,
obviously was not intended. They didn't know when Iron Man 2 was shot that they were ever going to get the rights to Spider-Man, but they added that in there just as a nuance, and you could see that in the very brilliant opening sequence, which might rival the Deadpool sequence. as one of my favorite opening sequences. It's basically, what is it?
Him vlogging his time from Captain America: Civil War.
Exactly. Like, he's really excited to meet Tony Stark.
And you see him like right before he jumps into battle with them. He's like, hold on, let me put the phone down. And
oh my God, this is so amazing. And then he gets back to the hotel and he's like so happy that he was just in this big fight. He didn't even know what it was about. He just was so happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Which is probably how Tom Holland feels, because he even said, I went to the theater and saw Avengers with my friends. I had no idea I would ever be in one. And it's got to be kudos to him for doing such an amazing job as Peter Parker. And some people define roles, and I think he might have defined this role now.
And the whole movie is very lighthearted. It's not
the stakes
dark,
aren't
super
very
deep.
Heavy. So let's talk about other characters. Who was your second favorite character in the movie?
I got to go with Michael Keaton's Vulture, actually.
Dude, he was really good, right?
Yeah. I mean, I know Michael Keaton's a really good actor, but I actually really like the way the Vulture looked, too. He actually looked pretty scary.
Yeah, he looked sort of menacing, and the point of the Vulture was, which was another cool sequence, took place like 8 years before the movie, and it's basically Michael Keaton has a construction company that he invested a lot of money in to clean up New York after the Avengers fucked it up, essentially.
Yep.
And government came in and said, sorry. And he's like, please don't do this to me. I'm going to lose everything. And they said, well, sorry, we're doing it. So he has a vendetta against Stark now.
Yeah, and it kind of makes it's kind of one of those things where it makes him a bad guy, but not a bad guy.
Yeah, he wasn't like...
And he was doing it for his family. He was just trying to make money. So it's like...
Yeah, he was sort of a shitty like dude that got... He's sort of Walter Whited a little bit.
Yeah, but he's also kind of psychotic.
Yeah. He got in over his... that scene where he's in the car?
With Peter?
Yeah, and he's slowly realizing as she's talking.
Very intense.
Dude, that was a very good scene. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, just because it was just like you could slowly see the realization in his face.
Yeah.
Did you notice that when like he realized it, the light turned green and his face lit up green? He looked a little bit like Green Goblin.
Yeah.
That was such a cool effect. And the best thing I liked about him was it wasn't Ultron. It wasn't... Wonder Woman, what was it, Ares?
Ares, yeah.
It wasn't some dude trying to end the world. It was just some dude trying to make some money in not the best way, but he wasn't a villain. And he even basically let Peter off, so just stay out of my business. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to go after your family or anything, but just stay out of my business.
Well, because he saved his daughter, which was another thing I actually didn't see coming. I feel like I should have.
I feel like I should have too, but it was played so well that you didn't think about it.
Yeah, so his daughter is what was her name in the movie?
Liz.
Liz is his Vulture is her father.
Yeah, and you don't really think about it throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's something
you think they're two separate things.
Yeah, we were so invested in Spider-Man and everything that's going on. Like I just didn't even like start putting. Maybe it's one of the things like a sign of a movie not being that good if you're sitting there trying to figure it out in your head.
Yeah,
instead of just enjoying the movie.
Well, not to get off subject of Spider-Man, but that's the difference between Saw 1 and Saw 2.
Yeah.
Saw 1, you were just watching it. You were just like, okay, this is cool, kind of cool. And then the end happened, which I don't care who you are. Don't tell me you figured that out.
Yeah, exactly.
That. Nobody did. That was the point.
And that made the movie.
That made the movie what it was.
The movie was pretty mediocre up until that. I was like, I don't know why everybody likes this. And then
why does everybody like this so much? Because I bought it under the guise of everybody said this was an amazing movie. And I was watching, I was like, this is all right. And last 5 minutes sells the entirety of the movie.
Yep, and then they shot themselves in the foot with that because they could never top that.
Yeah, because in number 2, you're just watching the whole thing, and everybody wants to be the smart one and figure out what the thing is, and everybody figured it out 5 minutes in.
Yep.
Everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's her. She's working for Jigsaw because, remember, she saved her. And that's the sign of, like you said, a sign of a good movie. Yeah, you're just enjoying it. You're just
Spider-Man, I was not even trying to figure out who the Vulture was. I was just like,
yeah, Vulture's a bad guy. Spider-Man's a good guy. Let's watch it.
Just following the movie, man. It was fun.
Is there anything about the movie you didn't like?
Maybe it was a little bit too much of the high school stuff. Like maybe I was kind of, I don't know. I'm trying
a little bit.
I'm just trying to find something I didn't like about it because I don't think there was much I really.
There wasn't much. I'll tell you, like something that was going through my head when I was watching it was, I don't know how I felt. I didn't know how I felt about all the upgrades on his suit at first. I thought it was almost a little much, but then I realized what that meant for the story. I feel like the payoff was good.
Yeah,
because when he has the suit, and then the suit gets upgraded even more, so he gets stronger and stronger, and then everything gets taken away. In order to rise to the occasion, he has to do it without all the special equipment. I understand that now, but when I was watching all the suit stuff, I was just like, this is feels like a little bit Iron Man-y almost too much.
Yeah, but it did play a lot into some of the funniest moments of the movie.
Oh my God. Let's talk about the funniest moment of the movie. I think you and I have the funniest moment because I couldn't handle it, neither could you.
When he goes into interrogation
mode. I was like, what's this going to be?
Yeah, I was.
And it was just...
He comes, all of a sudden you hear him go, Hurr! It's like this,
he's basically Batman.
It's like this over-the-top, ridiculous-sounding voice.
Yeah, he's basically doing the Christian Bale Batman, Ben Affleck Batman voice modulator to Donald Glover, who plays Miles Morales in the animated series.
And apparently his character he talks about having a nephew in that area, and that's supposed to be Miles Morales.
See, that's awesome. That's awesome that they would even throw that in there. But there was a lot of cameos in there like that. Like Donald Glover was in there. Hannibal Buress was he's a stand-up comedian. He was the gym teacher.
Speaking of that, did you hear about what Joe Carroll did?
No.
So the Hannibal Buress, what's that his name?
Hannibal Buress, yeah.
Hannibal Buress. So for the red carpet event in California for Spider-Man Homecoming, he paid Joe Carroll $500 to stand in as him.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Like Joe Carroll's like all over the news and stuff now, and like the newspaper here wrote about it.
Is that real?
Yeah.
And nobody knew it was the difference?
No.
Why did he do it? As a joke?
I guess.
That's pretty funny.
He's just like, if you go look it up, look up the Spider-Man red carpet with Hannibal Buress, and it's Joe Carroll talking like he's him. Like, yeah, I grew up watching Spider-Man. It's fucking hilarious.
That's pretty awesome. Hannibal Buress is a stand-up comedian, but essentially he's the one who got Bill Cosby in all the trouble that he's in.
Wow.
Because he was doing a stand-up bit and talking about all the Bill Cosby rape allegations, and nobody believed him. He was like, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but just look it up. And then people started looking it up, and then everything came to light, and that's how he got in so much trouble.
Wow.
But that's kind of like, it's not, he's actually just a comedy writer and stuff like that, but that's basically like one of his big things is he essentially just got Bill Cosby into a bunch of shit.
Well, there you go.
But there's a lot of cameos in there, and I really like the Captain America stuff.
Oh my god, that was so funny. And the final credit.
The final credit scene was brilliant. I think that might have been one of my favorites just because it played so well into the movie and what the movie was. Just fun. Don't link it. We had the one about the Scorpion.
Yeah.
Linking to that, which is fine. That's cool. I'd like to see the Scorpion. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, they already said the next sequel is going to have a villain that's never been on screen before, so that kind of narrows it down a lot. You got Mysterio.
I want to see Mysterio, man. Come on.
Yeah, Mysterio would be a good one. Mysterio, Kraven the Hunter.
Make sure Mysterio has a ball for a head too. Like if they don't do that, I'm gonna be so mad.
That might play really well too into the whole Marvel Universe thing. Mysterio.
They talk about Part 4 having Bruce Campbell be Mysterio.
That would be so awesome.
Well, I mean, the Part 4 from the first.
Oh yeah, he was supposed to be. Yeah,
yeah,
he was supposed to get arrested.
Yeah, because he always shows up in all the movies, so it was actually supposed to be Mysterio.
That would have been brilliant.
I know, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. The action was really good, but it was more about Peter than anything else.
There was a lot of action in this movie, though. There was a lot of big scenes.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, one of the scenes I thought was so good that sold me on Tom Holland. Not that he didn't do amazing, but that part where he was at the end where he was stuck under the building. That was so like real feeling. You know,
that's from an actual old Spider-Man comic.
Yeah, it felt like I don't know if you ever saw this movie 127 Hours with James Franco about the guy who fell down the hole.
No.
He's a mountain climber who essentially fell down. It's a true story. He fell down a hole and
so it's a movie about a guy who fell down a hole. Okay.
No, he was a rock climber and he got his arm pinned. And he was stuck there for like 127 hours, and he ended up amputating his own arm with a pocket knife. And the very beginning of that movie, when he first falls, he just starts to panic, and he starts like beating his head against the rock and just pulling as hard as he can, and he can't move. And it felt like so real, like that's how it would feel. That's what you would do. And that's kind of what Tom Holland did in that scene. It's like he tried to move. He's talking to himself, and then he starts to cry a little bit, and then he starts to panic a little bit, and he can't get out. And then he realizes, obviously, the hero moment of the movie, which I thought was great, where he just like summoned all his strength and just lifted all that stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, I can't remember which issue of Spider-Man it is. It was an older one, but the cover is like him buried under rubble, and that's what that's kind of based off of.
Yes, it was really good, and all the action sequences were good. Everybody played it so well. It might be one of my favorite movies this year so far. Guardians is pretty close, but those two are neck and neck. But
God, Spider-Man was so funny. I don't know. Guardians was really funny too, man. They're both just fun fucking movies.
Yeah, not everything has to have end of the world stakes. Let's just That's another thing that Guardians did too. We were just watching it, and you didn't realize that Ego was going to make the turn that he made.
Yeah,
because that's like you said. That's the point of a good movie.
You're just having fun.
You're just having fun. You're just enjoying it. You're watching it for what it is, and then everything sort of hits you. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about it. I know it feels like we're praising it and all that stuff, and I'm trying to find stuff that I didn't like. I did not like his Iron Man spider suit.
Oh, the one they showed at the end?
Yeah. I was like,
no,
I was like, please don't pick that. Please don't pick that. Stay classic. And I'm so glad they did. Let's just stick with the Peter Parker stuff for a while.
Yeah, because I do like his costume.
His suit's awesome.
Yeah.
It's classic Spider-Man. It
does have a few extra little things on it, but there's nothing too distracting from the nice blue and red design.
So here's a funny tidbit of information for you. The voice of Jarvis was Paul Bettany, who turned into Vision.
Uh-huh.
And he's married in real life to Jennifer Connelly, who was the voice of Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Yeah, which is kind of a nice little twist to that.
I heard something about that.
I heard something about that, which I really liked. I really liked their little rapport they started having, too, where he was kind of trapped in that house. It was just like Peter talking to himself. And actually, there was one scene that I really liked, and it was really like such a low caliber scene, but I liked it so much. It was when he went to the party, and everybody was like, I don't think I want to do the Spider-Man thing. I don't think I want to do that. And then he got up on the roof, and he got into Spider-Man. And he was like mocking how he was going to talk and stuff like that. And I thought, I really didn't want him to go down there because I didn't really want the movie to turn into that.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was this weird debate I had in my head. Was like, please don't go down there. Please don't go down. Just don't. Just be a bigger person than that and all that stuff. I was like, I was having this weird like crisis of conscience for him. Like I was going through the same thing he was.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn into a parlor trick. I just want to help people. And that's obviously he took off, which was another really funny sequence because when Ned first finds out let's just establish this: superhero identities aren't as big a deal in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as they are in comics.
Yeah.
So him finding out didn't really. Everybody's like, "Oh, he's just going to show everybody who he is again." I'm like, but it doesn't matter. Everybody knows who everybody is.
Yeah.
That's why Civil War was the way it was. It's because nobody has a secret identity. Everybody knows Captain America's Steve Rogers, and everybody knows Iron Man's Tony Stark because they already said it. And but then Ned starts asking him all these questions, if he can control spiders and all that stuff. He goes,
yeah, that was funny.
Then he added a little thing where, how far does your web shoot? You should just walk out and just shoot it and see how far it goes. And so when he starts running, it's really funny because Spider-Man in suburbia, we always joked about it. Well, what's he going to do? He doesn't have anything to hook onto. So he just goes out and goes, and he shoots this web that just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
And then he goes, damn it. And then he just starts running across the field through like a golf course with sprinklers on it. It was just like, it was so funny watching Peter Parker learn to be a superhero, basically.
Yeah. It's not like he was just, like you said, he didn't just automatically become Spider-Man and was automatically just amazing at everything.
Yeah, I could do all the backflips and all this. He was messing up constantly, which was...
It was funny, and it was also... It made it more relatable because...
And it made him endearing as a character, too.
Yeah.
And it was... I can't say enough good things about him. I hope he stays Spider-Man for a long time. Hope he doesn't grow up too fast.
I wasn't compelled.
You weren't compelled at all? I didn't find the story or the characters very compelling?
No.
I mean, I liked it better than Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman was a great movie, but this...
Yeah, we talked about that last night. I think LJ liked Wonder Woman more, and I was like, no, Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Spider-Man fan.
Me too, so...
I think it almost might go...
A little biased, but...
Yeah. But it's still... It's just
the Spider-Man movie we've been wanting.
Yeah, for years. Like I said, we've discussed it. We thought Spider-Man 2 might be close, but Spider-Man 2 might show its age at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be as fun. It's going to be very...
Well, it's more about him being a hero and him like trying to figure out his life, and this was more just like... It was just so funny. It was just funny to watch, like that guy when he was on the roof. And the guy was like, hey, you're the Spider-Man. He's like, yeah. Do a flip for me. And he just does a flip, and he goes, yeah. He was really excited for him.
And what about the very last scene of the movie? His Aunt May
goes, what the? And it cuts out. It's like, that's what I mean. It's like super identities aren't that big a deal, but that's just such a, You didn't get the superhero pose thing that because I thought the last scene of the movie.
What are you talking about? Every movie, the superhero jumps off into the distance
to nowhere.
To nowhere.
To nowhere. But no, it's like I thought the last scene of the movie was going to be him swinging with Iron Man through the city, which they never showed.
Yeah,
I bet you that was just a promo piece,
probably
to get people buzzed. Yeah, the last sequence was just him.
Or a deleted scene.
Yeah, him just getting his old suit back and putting it on, and then Maggie sees him in it.
And she just
then
goes, "What the?"
And that's where the movie ends. And it was just, I don't know. I can't.
It was really good.
That it was so good. We need to start getting a ranking system.
I love it, but I'm also scared. I'm scared that like
Sony's going to take it away and ruin it.
I mean, Spider-Man's only got like two or three more movies with Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't want them to go away from Marvel. I don't want the end game of this to be, well, Sony, well, we got a cash cow on our hands. Fuck you, Marvel.
Yeah,
we used you for.
Yeah, and they're going to use different people, and it's just going to feel weird and forced.
Because it makes me sick to see Amy Pascal's name on Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, it's like, look at the Fantastic Four. Look what happened to that. That's Marvel's first family, essentially.
Yep, and now they're Marvel's last fuck up.
Yeah, it's just like, well, were they even a part of that?
No.
Exactly. It's just like that movie just didn't mesh well, and it's just like, why? We want to see Wolverine team up with Fantastic Four. We want to see Spider-Man and Wolverine. We want to see Deadpool and Spider-Man. We want to see all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's like it only makes sense for the movie companies to work together for all of the movie companies to make money.
Yeah.
Because Sony's track record is not good on its own.
No. I mean, well, they start off strong, and I think we're going back to it again, but I think Spider-Man 2 was so strong because there was nothing to compare it to back then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to watch it now and see if it
how
holds
it holds up. Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Because I'm a huge fan of Sam Raimi, but Tom does things to some movies.
It does.
There are some movies that can be timeless, and I think a lot of those are, like, of course, for me, like The Evil Dead. That's a movie I feel is kind of timeless in a way, but it's also
Ghostbusters is timeless.
Ghostbusters is timeless.
Yeah,
and not the shitty remake.
I mean, yeah, it's some movies just don't show their they show their age, but they still have their charm.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be interesting to see if the original. I think the original Spider-Man could have been a classic if it wasn't for the Green Goblin. It might have ruined the entire movie for me. And I thought Willem Dafoe's awesome.
It was just his costume.
His costume, he just looked like a rejected Power Ranger villain. And I understand they were trying to like ground it a little bit, but come on, just make him a goblin.
Or even just give him like a latex mask or something.
Yeah, just make him some sort of. You don't make him a robot.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they compare. I mean,
yeah, Doc Ock was. I think Doc Ock was a better villain than the Vulture, but I really like the Vulture.
I think Doc Ock was because he was way more connected to Peter Parker than
the Vulture.
Peter Parker really looked up to Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Or Otto Octavius. You know, that was kind of his mentor. So it's a lot more different than just, oh, the chick I'm taking to Homecoming is dad is Vulture.
Yeah. So
and Batman and Birdman.
So good, though.
And Beetlejuice.
Got anything else to say? The awkward end of the podcast begins.
I'm just going to say Spider-Man was awesome. And I'm glad superhero movies are popular enough to where I can go to the theater and enjoy the characters I grew up with on the big screen.
So what's next? We did it with Power Rangers. We did it with Spider-Man. What's the next movie we're going to talk about till it comes out and then review it like crazy? Thor Ragnarok, probably.
Ragnarok, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Black Panther. When's that come out? I probably won't talk much about Black Panther. I mean, it's like Black Panther's kind of like Ant-Man and the first Iron Man to me, and it's just kind of like
you're just gonna watch it and see what you think.
Yeah, I'm like, it might be okay. Doctor Strange, I wasn't.
Thor Ragnarok looks
insane.
Looks so great.
Yeah, it looks very so Guardians of the Galaxy-ish.
Which is exactly what.
Yeah,
you're in space. Come on, just
make it ridiculous. Thor's a ridiculous character. Stop trying to ground him and make him like have love interests on Earth and all that shit. Just make it just insane.
We got Justice League coming out too.
Yeah.
Not as looking forward to that one.
I mean, I really enjoyed Wonder Woman, but I guess DC just kind of left more of a sour taste in my mouth. So I'm not super excited for it. I do like Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was good. What little bit he played in Batman vs Superman, he was about the only really highlight besides Wonder Woman in that movie for me.
Yeah.
But I don't really care for the guy that's playing the Flash. I don't know if I like that. I don't like Cyborg at all. He looks like an eyesore.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll finish his effects.
Aquaman is Aquaman. I mean, I really Khal Drogo is Aquaman.
It's hard to care about Aquaman sometimes.
So it's like the Justice League to me doesn't have the same star power that, and plus none of those characters have been established in their own movies. So it's like I already know.
Yeah, we got Hulk established and Thor established, and we're gonna get some new characters.
So I already know how Justice League's going to kind of play out. We got to establish all these characters, and Batman's got to bring them all together, and Darkseid's going to show up, and Superman's going to come back, and Lex Luthor's going to die.
I will say this about Batman vs Superman: how amazing would it have been if they could have kept Wonder Woman a secret the entire movie until you saw it? That would have been like the most mind-blowing thing comic book movie's ever done. But they had to say they cast her. They had to show her in her costume, and they had to show her in the trailer to get people amped up for it. But could you imagine if you were because we talked about it, me and my girlfriend talked about it. If I'd have just saw that movie and didn't know that she was Wonder Woman, I would assume she was Catwoman.
That's what I thought too.
She just was slinking around at the place, and she was trying to steal stuff. It's just that's all I would have assumed. And if you could have kept that as, again, engage them in something that's interesting and not just, I'm waiting, when's Wonder Woman going to show up?
Yeah.
It's just like engage them in the battle, engage them in the thing between, and then have her show up at the end and everybody would just, that would have put that movie over the top for me. It would have been like Saw. It would have just been like, oh, just go see it. Or Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Just go see it. You just have to go see it. I can't tell you anything about it. Just go see it.
It's amazing. Just fucking go watch it.
Yep.
And shut the fuck up.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, that's all for us. Yeah. Just like and subscribe and all that good stuff.
Check us out.
I'm just going to stop it right there.